Good morning. My name is Jenn Kanze Eaton, and I'm a member of the Worship and Music Committee. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And it is my pleasure to welcome you this morning to our virtual service with the First Parish of Plymouth congregation. The first part of our service is recorded and uploaded on Facebook and YouTube, and our personal sharing during joys and concerns are not recorded. Jean Pace will be accompanying our hymns this morning, and our tech director is Linda Harding. Whoever you are, wherever you're from, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, come walk with us this hour. Our call to worship comes from Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Our opening hymn is number 352, Finding a Stillness.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the stillness, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Good morning, everyone. I'm the Reverend Arthur Lavoie. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And I invite you, as I light the chalice this morning, to join me in the words that are printed on your screen. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Deb Keller-Wood, and I have a story to continue with you. Last week, I had introduced you to Chalaka, a holiday celebrated by UUs, and it's starting to take off. In the story, a dad was telling his daughter Marie about Chalaka when she wanted to know why we didn't have anything special that was UU when there were all these other holidays. Marie had looked at him skeptically and said, "Oh, great, a made-up holiday. Chalaka? Dad, it isn't the same as holidays everybody's heard of." Well, they sat down to discuss how to make this holiday feel real, to make it special, and they came up with some ideas. Chalaka celebrates each night one of our principles. So for the first night, the inherent worth and dignity of everyone, they made a joyful book. And in the book, they thought of things to do that could make you feel joyful. And they delivered it to friends down the street. On the second night, justice, equity, and compassion, they decided to reach out and help others get what they needed. On the third night, acceptance of each other and encouragement for spiritual growth, they decided to each make their own chalaka. Paper plate, a little light, and the rest is up to your imagination. On the fourth night, free and responsible search for truth and meaning in our lives, they decided to read a book. Did you know that there's a book called A New Alphabet for Humanity? On the fifth night, the right of conscience and use of democratic process, they voted on what they ate for dinner. Mm-hmm. The sixth night, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, they decided to figure out who the smallest voices were around them, and then to really listen. And on the seventh night, respect for the interdependent web of existence in which we are a part, they decided to go out on a silence walk. And they listened to the noises as they walked through the woods. And they tried to find signs of animals and of growth and all of the things that made nature so beautiful. On the last night, which is tonight, Marie looked up at her father as they lit the chalice. Dad, I could do this each year. It's kind of important. I like thinking about this. It's not a made-up holiday. It's a meaningful holiday. They hugged each other, said goodnight, and went to bed. I wonder what will happen next year when Chalaka comes around.
Beneath the hustle and bustle, beneath the streams of thoughts that clamors and clatters over the landscape of our interior world, beneath our habits of momentum and stirring, there is stillness, deep and peaceful, the place where creation begins. Who lives there? We know her by many names: truth, love, God, wisdom. We turn our hearts toward her face, toward the mystery, and bring our prayers of awe, of longing, of hope, of exhaustion. She holds us in our grief and anger, in our disappointment, in our loneliness, our rebirth. From her viewpoint, she sees us children of the stillness, children of love. She sees our place in the order of things, joined together in the larger story, and she invites us again and again into living, inviting us into loving, inviting us into being loved. May we be restored to wholeness and blessed with peace. May all of those whom we encounter receive this blessing through our being in the world.
When I find it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Thank you, Jenn and Seeger, for that beautiful rendition of Let It Be. The monks knelt and rose and bowed. Writes UU minister, the Reverend Carl Scoville. Let's just be silent for a moment, because I'm not on, there I am, okay. The monks knelt and rose and bowed, writes the Reverend Carl Scoville, UU minister. The monks knelt and rose and bowed, their bodies bent forward from the waist, torsos almost horizontal. But I could not move. You see, I belong to this church where no one kneels and no one bows, and when has it ever been suggested that I might kneel, even figuratively kneel before or to something? I wanted to kneel, that's the important thing, but I could not. To kneel and to mean it would be frightening, because there is a darkness in the kneeling and a darkness in us that we cannot reason about. Be still and know that I am God. Those words from Psalm 46 may have surprised many of you when Jenn read them as our call to worship. Perhaps they made some of you squirm. Perhaps they raised that very darkness within that Carl Scoville speaks of in the quote I just mentioned. As Unitarian Universalists, we pride ourselves on our ability to reason, but we often over-intellectualize things. Why is he talking about God? I don't believe in God. We don't talk much about God here. Some of you might be thinking. At times, though, we all need something that's going to make us squirm a bit. We need something that's going to push our buttons and shake us up, move us out of our heads, agitate us from our complacency. What does it mean to be still and know that I am God? Lisa Pella writes. The instruction to be still in Hebrew means to let go, to stop striving, to slacken and let drop. It's a picture of loosening our clenched grip on the circumstances and outcomes and trusting God. I'm the first to admit that being still goes against my instinct. We are fixers. We want to make it happen and just keep pushing through. But the call to be still is a call to surrender. So let's say it another way. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am love, that I am spirit, that I am mystery. Be still and know that there is a darkness and a stillness that we all have to visit at times in order to know the state of our souls, in order to find ourselves, in order to find the path that will lead to wholeness and transformation. Another way we might say it is with the song, Let It Be. Let it be, there will be an answer. If we just stop and let it be. Unitarian Universalists have rightly questioned or eliminated many of the ritual forms that are part of human religious experience and the Christian expression that most of us come from. We stand and we sit in our worship, but kneeling and bowing are things we let go of a long time ago. Kneeling and bowing are akin to surrender, to veneration. Our reasoning minds don't like surrender very much. It feels like giving up control. Surrender makes us anxious and fearful. And we don't venerate, we don't bow down to any idols, except perhaps the ones in our own minds. Reasoning can sometimes be more of an idol than any religious idol. But you know, this is not a surrender that is a giving up, but a surrender that equates with acceptance. There is nothing that I can do to change the course of these events, so I will bow to them, open myself to them, accept what has been given me this day. And I will see what I can learn from this experience, discover what this stillness and this silence and this darkness and the opening to greater truth, opening perhaps to some spiritual power, I will see what all of that has to teach me. The shadows, the darkness, sometimes the pain-filled places in each of us are where we can find some of the most profound questions. They are fertile places, rich in insight and inspiration. They are the places where our deepest dreams and our most creative energy reside. They can be safe spaces in which our deepest beings can take root, can grow and emerge into wholeness. The darkness in our lives holds a sacred time and place, a time to rest, a time of waiting, a time of nurture, a time of anticipation. This is the season of darkness. And we are in the midst of Advent, in the Christian calendar, the liturgical season of waiting, of anticipation for something that is to come, which we don't yet know and can't control. Many parts of the future are out of our hands, and it is our task to manage what we can and let go of the rest as we bow and even kneel to some forces that hold our destiny. While I was in seminary in Berkeley, California, I had an occasional spiritual practice of walking the labyrinth. A labyrinth is not a maze. You can't get lost. It's a circuitous path that winds its way into the center and back out again. It's a meditative practice that's designed to resemble a spiritual journey. Before entering the labyrinth, you set an intention or ask a question, and then you clear your mind and listen in the silence and the stillness for what the labyrinth practice has to offer you or teach you that day. The largest and most famous labyrinth design is from the cathedral in Chartres, France. This cathedral was built in the 12th and 13th centuries and reflects the transition from Romanesque to Gothic styles of architecture. The labyrinth is built into the floor of the cathedral using different colored tiles. The amazing thing that I always find is that the practice of walking the labyrinth mirrors many issues that emerge in any spiritual or life journey. No matter how often I've done it, at some point I always question whether I have lost my way. At some point, it either seems it's gone on for too long, or it seems like I've been in this very same spot before. And I wonder if I've missed one of the turns or jumped over into the wrong part of the path. And then I laugh to myself, knowing that if I can surrender to this journey, if I just continue to follow the path, it will take me to the center and it will teach me something. It will offer me something. My question might not be answered, but I will have insight or a strengthening of some resolve or a reframing of the question or the recognition of an issue, which leads to deeper meaning and insight. The San Francisco Bay Area, where I went to seminary, has lots of great labyrinths. Take your pick. There is one built into the stone courtyard in front of Grace Cathedral, the Episcopal Cathedral at the top of Nob Hill. It's designed in such a way that it appears to actually be hanging out over the city. On a clear night, if you're walking that labyrinth, it seems that you can almost reach up and touch the stars. My favorite labyrinth is the one in Sibley Park, one of the parks that mark the green space in the hills east of Berkeley and Oakland. This labyrinth is tucked into a quarry with rock walls surrounding 2/3 of it. During the spring semester, my first year of seminary, my father died. As I've mentioned before, our relationship had been a difficult one. There was much unfinished business between us. The combination of his death and the emotional turmoil that naturally comes as part of the seminary experience threw me into confusion and despair. One day, a few months after my father's death, I went out to the labyrinth in Sibley Park, longing to have answers to some troubling questions about my life and my call to ministry. I was confused, depressed, angry, and I questioned so much of what I was doing. I wove my way to the center of the labyrinth. I looked up, and there on the rock hillside, I saw a burning bush, or so it appeared. On the hillside right before me was this little bush. It was early fall, and its leaves had turned bright red. The sun was shining on it, and it was ablaze with color. I had walked that very labyrinth on at least 3 previous occasions. I'd never noticed it before. Now, in the biblical story of Moses, he gets his call from God to go back to Egypt and save his people when God speaks to him out of a burning bush. I didn't exactly hear the voice of God speaking to me in the stillness of that afternoon, but I surely felt called out of myself and my despair, called into a renewed commitment to pursue the path to ministry, called to deal more effectively with my father's memory and our difficult relationship. In the poem Walk, Don't Run, Rob Bell writes, slow down, breathe deeply, and open your eyes. The bush doesn't suddenly catch on fire. It's been burning the whole time. Moses is simply moving slow enough to see it. And when he does, he takes off his sandals, not because the ground has suddenly become holy, but because he's now becoming aware that the ground has been holy this whole time. That burning bush, that holy ground, gave me a lot of work to do. And that's the way it always is when we are still with the presence of the holy among us. If we go looking for the voice of God or the presence of the holy, we better be prepared for what we get, because it might not always make our lives easier. More clear, perhaps, more sure, but not necessarily easy. Barbara Brown Taylor, in her book, When God is Silent, writes that it's safer to split atoms than to seek the divine presence, burning bush or not. There is no such thing as a safe fire. Not only are we in the midst of Advent, but this is also the week of Hanukkah, which began on Thursday evening. Hanukkah honors the retaking of Jerusalem and the Holy Temple by a band of militants led by Judah Maccabees. It was a brief time when the Greeks were expelled from Israel and before Israel and Judea were conquered by the Romans. A rare time when the Hebrew people had control over their land and their sacred religious sites. Perhaps on some level they knew it wouldn't last long, but it doesn't matter. When we are in the presence of the holy, as long as we follow the guidance of our souls, the path that we find when we bow to stillness and darkness, as we pay attention to the Spirit, we will find our way and learn to accept whatever it is that we encounter. It is in the darkness, in the stillness of my silence and solitude, in the darkness sometimes of fear, uncertainty, and discomfort, that I am able to renew my life and find new meaning. In our holiday rituals, we hope to find the courage to break through the fear of that which we find in the stillness, that which is different and not readily known. We hope to give ourselves the space to question and be still and hear the voice of the holy, the voice of the greater love that fills our souls. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing hymn is from the Teal Hymnal, number 1040. It's called Hush. It's an African-American spiritual, and the words are on your screen. Please join in singing.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do?
Let us venture forth this morning in the stillness and silence of this season. Let us embrace the darkness around us as we prepare for these holidays and for the coming of the new day that the solstice will bring us next week. Let us find in the quiet time a measure of hope, of comfort, of challenge, and of freedom and justice as our names are called and as we are called forth. Amen.
Let Christmas come, its story told, when day Christmas